Hello and welcome to another episode of Be Fearless podcast, where we look inside SquareX today and talk to one of our employees. So I have here with me our principal software engineer, Shourya.
Hello everyone, pleasure to be here.
He's actually 1 month my junior, so he joined the company right after me. So we've been working pretty closely so far, so happy to have you on the podcast. And we can pretend that we were not just chatting right before this.
Yeah.
So tell us about what you do and your background.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I work as a principal software engineer. My work mainly involves working on the extension side. So whatever features that you see on SquareX Enterprise, I'm one of the contributors in that code. And yeah, I mean, it's a very nice problem to solve, and a lot of interesting attacks that we're detecting. And yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So previously you were also working in a startup, right?
Yeah.
So how has this journey been for you? Has there been any differences in terms of your work culture or anything like that?
No, I mean, startup culture is pretty much the same, you know. We all want what's like best for us and for the company.
I see.
So, we always like work with smaller teams. It has been a common theme in all the companies I've worked with. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I would say, action.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So how has your role grown over the years? Because I know now that you're managing a small team on your own. Right, there are people who are not, say, working under because it's a startup, so it's pretty flat, but you're also managing other people on your team. So how has this experience been for you?
It has been great. Not only, I get a chance to like work as an individual contributor, but I also get a chance to work as a team. Sometimes, when new people join, it's always great to keep them up on, how the action is going around, what kind of interesting problems we are solving.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's interesting. In terms of how my role is evolving, of course, I started here as an individual contributor, and later on we have like a lot of people working on the extension now.
Yeah.
So and at the same time, I'm also involved in giving out demos, being at the booth, meeting a lot of people, explaining them how SquareX can help their employees. So it has been great so far. Yeah.
So how has this changed? How have you been handling it? Because now you're more front-facing, right? You're actually talking to people,
Yes.
but about the things that you built, of course. So
Yes.
how has this experience been for you?
It has been great. It's always great to talk about what you work on.
Yeah.
I would say it's a great opportunity for me as well.
Yeah.
I'm not just some, back-facing guy, but I also get a chance to go on front and talk about what I'm building.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been great.
Can you share with us some of the research that you've presented in talks all over the world?
Sure. So as I mentioned, my work has mainly been involved with extensions. So last year I got a chance to actually present my work and my research at the Texas Cyber Summit. Later, like one of our projects was also presented at the Black Hat Europe.
Yeah.
And this year, like I'm also involved in one of the talks that I'm going to give at the creator stage under the Adversary Village, which is around sneaky extensions.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a pretty interesting topic. So maybe you want to share a little bit more about that?
Sure. So I mean, nowadays extensions are also acting like a very difficult adversary to deal with.
Right.
In this talk, I will be more focused from the attack side. So I'll be showing like a lot of interesting attacks people can do with like limited number of permissions using a browser extension.
Yeah.
With the advent of AI, like, let's say ChatGPT releases a new version, you can see like, a lot of people releasing extensions with that name.
Exactly.
And they end up downloading it.
Yep.
And it leads to a lot of issues. Sometimes can lead to like credential stealing.
Yeah.
And it can even be like way more, I would say, dangerous, as you would see in that talk.
Absolutely. Super excited for that talk. So
Yeah.
we are also, SquareX also has a browser extension. So how are we protecting from all of these attacks that you're going to be presenting?
Yeah, so I mean, browser in itself has become like a big platform. I would say you can call it an operating system in itself.
Wow. Yeah.
So there are a lot of things that we do through browser, like, visiting websites, downloading files, putting our credentials on different pages, using different SaaS applications. At the same time, we also, improve our capability, our productivity by installing some other extensions. So SquareX as an extension basically helps you create policies which can help detect any kind of attacks happening across all of these different areas. So not just the file side, but also the identity, the SaaS applications you're using, the pages where any kind of credential stealing is happening. At the same time, any kind of malicious extension as well.
Right. So how is our infrastructure set up differently such that we don't become susceptible to some of the attack methods that you'll be presenting later?
Yeah. So I mean, there are few attacks which are actually at an architectural level.
Okay.
So as a normal user, it's quite difficult to protect yourself against them.
Okay.
However, if they are using something like SquareX, we do have ways to present policies around malicious extensions. So you can literally use simple properties like how the web store data was, like when was extension published, how was the reviews, and you can even use those data. At the same time, you can also have properties around like what kind of permissions the extension is asking for, whether it's using any kind of risky permissions, how old that extension is.
Right.
So these parameters could be a good judge as an initial check to stop these malicious extensions from coming in. So, of course, those architectural, I would say, the limitations would exist, but having something like SquareX can definitely help reduce the area.
Yeah.
Yes.
Makes sense. So, I've been, with you since like RSA, we went to B-Sides, Black Hat, now we're at DEF CON. And while talking to people, there are a small group of, small class of people, I would say, who are absolutely against installing any sort of extension form of a solution, like security solution. So to those kind of people, how would you convince them that this is still a better route to go through for browser security as opposed to an enterprise browser?
Yeah, so the problem right now is that people were not really looking at browser security properly.
Okay.
And that's basically, I would say, the missing piece in the puzzle.
Okay.
So, whenever people go ahead and buy like a whole SASE suite, they basically miss out on the browser section. And it's a bit of change because they have to understand like most of the attacks are actually happening through browser.
Right.
And at the same time, you need some sort of a visibility. The extensions can also complement their existing tools quite well. Talking about enterprise browsers, that has also been a bit of focus for a few people.
Right.
I mean, it's great. The problem is that, asking your workflow to the workforce to, shift to a new browser itself is a big step.
Yes.
So using something like an extension would definitely help. And the focus of enterprise browsers have mostly been around access control, while our DNA has mostly been around, protection against attacks. So even if you're going ahead and using something like an enterprise browser, having SquareX extension inside that will definitely superpower it.
Awesome. So you are actually giving a talk with Vivek about this topic on how SASE is limited in certain ways. So can you tell us a bit more about that talk as well?
Sure. So, our team has been working a lot on this field of, how you can actually bypass the secure web gateways. So there's a misconception with people that just having something like a secure web gateway is going to save them. But that's not really true. It can definitely help for a certain category of attacks, but there are ways this can actually be bypassed as well.
Right.
So this talk will definitely focus on how we can bypass the secure web gateways. And it's sort of a validation, I would say, that you need more solutions, especially at the browser end, to make sure that you're able to mitigate them.
Absolutely.
So this talk was actually supposed to be Vivek and Jaswin, but unfortunately, Jaswin couldn't make it here.
Yeah.
We're definitely missing you, Jaswin.
Definitely.
So unfortunately, he's not here. So I'll be helping out Vivek with this talk. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else you would like to say, add on?
Yeah, I would just say, browser security is something that we all should focus on. It's definitely something that could actually help reduce a lot of attacks, at a very initial level. Of course, as part of the security practice, you can always assume that a breach has happened. But we should also think about that in terms of secure web gateway as well.
Yeah.
So something like a browser security would definitely help reduce that initial access. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next episode of Be Fearless podcast, Inside SquareX.